Welcome back to Keisha Reacts. I'm your girl Keisha, and we have a lot to talk about. In 2025, we done had 94 plane crashes. 14 ended in fatalities. Doge is over there crashing out. Also, at the same time, offering stimulus checks. Maybe not. There's been a lot of job cuts that Elon has been doing. So let's talk about it. Now, if that's like not bad enough, people are saying that we're heading towards a Great Depression. The economy is crashing. So we have the planes falling out the sky and the economy is crashing too. With the economy crashing, Doge is actually crashing out. Yes, Doge. Let's go over some of the things what Doge has been doing. 1 minute they're promising a $8,000 or $5,000 stimulus check from all this money that was discovered and found. Now this money mysteriously disappears. Where did the money go? Back in 697 AD, Venice created the role of Doge. And us regular people, we had no say-so. So with Doge, just a little bit to try to understand and break it down, you have the president and then Elon Musk, who runs Doge. He doesn't really work for us. So any decisions, whether it's good or bad, we have no say-so. He's supposed to be this person that's running things. So I will tell you this. Those made important decisions for the military, diplomacy, and trade. Trade, okay, I don't know if I can say it on YouTube, but trade, yes. Only people who could vote were people who owned their own home and people who had money. What does that sound like for us in 2025? The people who are struggling. And I'm not talking about, oh, people, if you are six figures or you have 7, 8 figures. No, I'm talking about billionaires, corporations. So those type of people had the influence over the regular people. So this is who is running Doge. So one of the latest fatalities were 2 small planes that collided mid-air at the Marina Regional Airport in Arizona. That actually resulted into 2 fatalities. Also, that totals, with those 2 fatalities, that actually totaled up to be 14 fatalities within 2025. Now, just within a few hours before I even jumped onto this live, Southwest was up in the air in Chicago preparing to land, but was not able to because, guess what? They almost collided with a private jet. You heard me right. They had to abort their mission to avoid colliding with this jet. There would have been another crash. Aviation, they're like, oh no, it's safe to fly. It's actually safer than it was in 2024. But there's just more fatalities in 2025. I say January only has 31 days. February has 28. We had more crashes than we actually had on the calendar year this year. I don't feel safe flying, and I'm not going to fly unless it's an absolute emergency, but I don't see that happen. I'm going to have to drive everywhere, and I know you guys are feeling the same. Some people like to play the number game, and they're like, oh, and they pull up the statistics, but there's something going on. Back-to-back plane crashes. They can say, oh, there's been more plane crashes in 2024, but baby, it seems like we're already starting off the year catching up with that number. I don't want to catch up.
Department of Government Efficiency, Doge. I knew I'd heard this term before. Don't scroll, because I'm getting ready to tell you something that's going to make you say, woo. Because I knew I heard this term before. I mean, I did go to college, but it just was ringing in my head. So I said, let me do a little research. Because, baby, sometimes you got to dig to find out what you want to know. And furthermore, if you don't know what something is, then ain't no way you're going to know why it's acting like it's acting. You got to know its character. So I ain't saying I know everything, but honey, let me tell you what a Doge is. I'm going to give it to you real simple and quick. Class is in session. I don't even like history, but you're going to be glad you heard this. Look it up yourself. Back in 697 AD, Venice created the role of a Doge. I knew I heard of it before. This was a leader that was appointed by the elite, and the regular people didn't have no say-so in nothing. Sound familiar? Now favorite this or jot it down in your memory. The Doge was the one that made important decisions about military, diplomacy, and trade. Somebody say trade war. Now, back then in Venice, the only people that could vote were the people who owned land. And a long time in America, the only people that could vote was the people who owned land. So if you didn't have no power and money, you didn't have no say-so. Sound familiar? Come on, stay with me. So now we got our own Doge, Department of Government Efficiency. But we still call it the Doge. So now we know what it is. I'm going to tell you what our Doge is doing. Well, our Doge was given access to the federal payment system, which is over Social Security payments. Don't forget, his goal is to cut costs. I hope this is helping somebody understand. Raise your hand if you got questions. I mean, it is the U.S. Department Treasury system. Now, the official who was over the system, well, they put him on administrative leave because he refused to give access to the Doge. I'm sure this is all coming together for you. Now, President Trump said Elon's doing a good job. He's a good cost cutter. Meanwhile, over the weekend, the Doge started concentrating on USAID. You don't know what that is? Jot this down as well, students. That's the U.S. Agency for International Development. What do they do, Miss Kim? I'm glad you asked. They're responsible for dispensing tens of billions of dollars in foreign aid. So when they refused to give him access to the classified material, about 100 of those people, they was laid off. Or rather, leave. Yeah, because they didn't want to give him access to the information. That's it. That's all. I hope that was helpful for today. It was somebody else that needs to know, and remember this. Our people perish for lack of knowledge. When you don't try to find out nothing, you won't know
This
nothing.
$5,000 STEMI program might not be what you think it is. Only 78 million households will qualify. The issue is there's roughly 128 million households in the USA. So who qualifies from this? Middle to high income earners that owe federal income tax at the end of the year. Basically, if you owe federal income taxes at the end of the year, you have funded the federal government. So this is essentially them just returning the money.
States is giving out another round of stimulus checks in 2025, which is super exciting. If you're wondering if you qualify for the stimulus check, just ask yourself if you qualified last time. And if you did, then you're not going to qualify this time because they're giving the checks out to the people that didn't receive them last time. That's either because you didn't file for it and you qualified, or because you didn't qualify then, but you do now. I fall into the category of people who didn't qualify then but do now because I was a dependent at that time, meaning that I was claimed on my parents' taxes. But now I am a fully filing taxpayer and have been for 4 years. So I will be claiming my own stimulus check. You bet your bottom dollar. Thank you. All that you need to do to make sure that you get this check is nothing really. The IRS is supposed to be sending them out and you should be receiving it by the end of January if you're eligible, but you can track it on the IRS website if you really want to. I made an account. I don't see anything in there yet. I don't think that I will just because I didn't get one in the past. If you did get past ones, you'll see them in there. If you got one but not two of them, you can get some money. I don't know. I don't know where this came from. I don't know why it came out, and you should do more research than I did, but I just wanted to tell y'all because.
So what does that exactly mean for us, people who are paying taxes, struggling out here, struggling to make the bare minimum for groceries, food? That means that we don't receive the money. It will be for more people who did not receive the first round of stimulus or the first payouts. Like they said, you can go onto the IRS website to see if you received it. If you missed a check, you will receive some payments. But pretty much it's going to be a certain tax bracket. And if you don't fit that tax bracket, you're not going to get paid out. My thing is, we've been sending billions, and I mean billions upon billions, to other countries to help out, Ukraine, Israel. But we, the American people, we're over here struggling, and we're still cutting jobs. People are losing their jobs. People are getting laid off. The price of inflation is just ridiculous. We're just right there in the border on a collapse. Now, this Friday, there's supposed to be a blackout. People are not supposed to go to work. No spending for Friday. I am waiting for you guys to go ahead and just stop paying the bills. Let's stop paying our mortgages. If we all stop doing that, they can't get us all. We really need to show how serious we are. We're going to just wait till we really are starving in the streets. I don't want to wait till I'm out here starving. Let's do something now, y'all. Okay, I digress. Maybe I'm going. But hey, I'm serious. Like, what are we going to do? We can't just keep on living like nothing is happening. That is the craziest thing. It reminds me of the frog analogy. You know, when you put the frog into a warm pot of water and slowly turn up the heat, notice the frog doesn't do anything. It just stay there and cook. Is that what we're doing? Is that what y'all doing? Because I'm not doing that. I'm just saying.
I am clueless. There's some sort of like economy shutdown that's planning for this Friday the 28th. Just found out about it. Don't have a clue as to what's going on in this world. And that's not a good thing. So we're not supposed to go to work on Friday or buy from like major retailers. Newsflash, man. I wasn't planning on buying anything. I'm broke. I am broke. But if you guys know what's going on, please enlighten me, because I really have no idea what's going on. I guess I'm spending way too much time on TikTok. But guess what? I'm going to go back on TikTok right now, and I'm going to go engage for a few more hours. You guys have an awesome night.
Okay,
Peace
guys,
and
so I
love.
made a video the other day on how I thought that the media was like overreacting about the plane crashes. Like, two-seater plane crashes like don't get reported on the news, right? But they're like reporting it now, just like another plane crash, another plane crash, another plane crash, and Americans are like terrified to fly, right? But like they don't report every car accident that occurs every day. I mean, that would be insane, right? So I just by a basic Google search, I Googled how many plane crashes were in 2024. And there were 1,500 plane crashes, close to 1,400 and some change. 2025, there's been, I think, 94 plane crashes, and it's February. So if you do the math, yeah, they didn't report shit last year on plane crashes. I'm just saying. So if you're one of these that are like, I'm never getting on a plane again, get on a plane. You'll be good. They're just overreacting, trying to be dramatic about it. I know that the Black Hawk and the American airline, that one was very tragic because I feel like that was intentional in my humble opinion. But the other ones have just been like, unfortunately, just bad circumstances, bad weather, bad pilots. I don't really know what the explanation is, but right here at the end of my video, I'm going to give you the knowledge you need.
Do not get on an aircraft. Do not. Unless you absolutely got to. And it's just you trying to get from one place to another place one time and just stay where you going. But don't be all that back and forth traveling and just going just to go and you bored. That shit ain't worth your life. If you that damn bored, have a road trip like back in the day. Get you some snacks, get you some goodies, turn you on some tune, and have you a smooth road trip. I don't care if it's 10 hours away. Well, I'm speaking for me. I already didn't really mess with planes, even before 2025. I want the plane tight, the boat tight. You know what I'm saying? Call it what you want to call it, but I just ain't, you know what I'm saying? I'd rather have my own. I want to be the pilot or the captain over my own life. As far as God, he's in control. But at the same time, God can warn you and tell you not to do something, and then when you do it anyway, even though he's in control, he told you not to do it. So in the end times, we in Revelations, it speaks of all this happening, these fires over in Cali. If you know he talks about this stuff happening, get the hell out. He didn't tell you to stay. I warned you. These planes collapsing, this AI, artificial intelligence, AI, that's the devil. They trying to come and bring these robots in so they can live forever, trying to take their consciousness and upload it in artificial intelligence. It gets deep, but I'm not going to go all the way down that rabbit hole because they will try and flag this video. But I do want to let people know, man, if you ain't really got to go on no airplane, if you just in the mode, you just spending money and want to have some fun, just stay your ass home or drive somewhere. It's done been 6 plane crashes in the last 48 hours. It's done been 250 airplane crashes in the past 30 years, the past 3 decades. We on track this year to have more plane crashes in a year and 6 months than we did in the past 30 years. Let that sink in. Since 2025 started, we already had a plane crash, not every single day, but every other day. And sometimes multiple plane crashes in one day. In the past 48 hours, we already had 6. 2 in Mexico, 1 in Philadelphia, 1 in DC, 1 in Chicago, and I'm missing one because I'm coming straight out the top. A lot of people, you know, I'm going to keep saying this in every video because I haven't heard nobody talking of it yet, but these are cyber attacks. Back in the day, they used to have 9/11, they used to have attacks, and they had to risk, you know, they used to have to risk their own lives in order to bring down everyone else. Now today, they don't even have to be on the plane. They could have the same technology and the same a smartphone or computer and hack into these systems and cause those planes and those artificial intelligent cars to malfunction. make the engines go out, make them, you know what I'm saying, not be able to read their radars and see what's close to them. Just like in that movie. Like, we keep bringing it up. You see people talking about it all the time, but it's real. It's real life shit. That's what's happening.
So do you guys think there's just a lot of fear-mongering going on, or do you think reality is setting in and we are having a lot of damn plane crashes? Here's my thing. I have never seen a lot of plane crashes go over residential neighborhoods. Maybe, like she said, they're not reporting on it, but I haven't experienced that out of my 45 years. So I've heard of plane crashes, absolutely. Some don't get reported, but as far as going over residential neighborhoods over our head in major cities, that's my concern, and that's where I'm stuck at. But you guys let me know. Are you guys planning to travel, or you guys are going to just be taking road trips throughout the United States? What are you guys doing? Get down in the comments and let me know.
People are in denial about an impending economic collapse. So I was like, let's take it to ChatGPT and see what they have to say about it. So I asked ChatGPT to juxtapose current events to critical events that occurred that led to the Great Depression. So it gave me about 8 points. So let's see what it had to say. 1, stock market volatility and speculation. Back in the 1920s, they saw rampant speculation, with people investing heavily on margin. Now there is specific volatility in markets, especially with the rise of speculative investments like cryptocurrency and meme stocks. Economic uncertainties continue to impact investor behavior. So the second is bank failures and financial system strains. So then bank failures were rampant during the early 1930s due to bad loans and financial instability. Now in 2023 and 24, there have been notable bank collapses, Silicon Valley Bank and First Republic, due to mismanagement, interest rate hikes, and liquidity issues, prompting fears to broader financial instability. Third would be inflation and interest rate policies. So then the Federal Reserve's tightening of monetary policy worsened the Great Depression, and now the Federal Reserve has been aggressively raising interest rates to combat inflation, which has led to increasing borrowing costs and concerns about tipping the economy into a recession. So 4 is income inequality and wealth disparities. So in the 1920s, they saw significant income inequality, with much of the wealth concentrated at the top, leading to decreased consumer demand. Now, income inequality remains a persistent issue, with many Americans facing wage stagnation despite rising cost of living, creating economic stress for the middle and lower class. Number 5 is trade and globalization tensions. So then the Hawley-Smoot Tariff Act led to reduced international trade, worsening the global economic downturn. Now, ongoing trade tensions with China and other countries, along with protectionist policies, have strained international trade relationships, contributing to economic uncertainty. So at number 6, we have technological and industry disruptions. And so then the rapid rise of mass production and mechanization displaced many workers. Now the rise of automation, artificial intelligence, and remote work is reshaping the workforce and creating job displacement concerns similar to the structural economic shifts of the 1930s. At number 7, we have housing instability. So then foreclosures were rampant during the Great Depression as people lost their jobs and could not afford housing. Now the housing market remains unaffordable for many, with high interest rates and limited supply contributing to rising rent and mortgage burdens. And now, to add on top of that, people are losing their jobs right now. And the last comparison point that ChatGPT had was number 8, public trust and social unrest. So then the economic hardship of the Great Depression led to widespread disillusionment with government and business leaders. Today, public trust in government institutions and corporations is low, and social divisions have been heightened due to economic inequality, racial and social justice issues, and political polarization. Now, it added a footnote that while we are not in a Great Depression level scenario, these similarities highlight vulnerabilities in the U.S. economy and society that could lead to broader challenges if not addressed proactively. And I know I wasn't the only one who was inquiring, just like, I wonder how similar this time right now is to that one. And so that's really where this whole little think piece video comes from.
If Japan's economy is any indicator how the United States is heading and towards going, we're in trouble. We are in trouble. Have you guys looked at Japan lately? Japan and the United States, we have this bond, but their yen is literally worth nothing. They can't even get fruits and vegetables at a decent price. And I know we're being censored over here in America, but like I said, if their economy is any indication of how the United States is heading, we're in trouble, guys. Go watch world news. Pull up a newspaper. Better yet, let me have this creator tell you.
Why is no one talking about Japan? Before y'all come and attack me, hear me out, y'all, and please hear this fully so you can really understand what I'm talking about. 2 days ago on NHK World Japan, which in my opinion, if you really want to know what's going on in Japan, please download this app or try to follow it as much as you can. It is, in my opinion, the #1 English-speaking Japanese news company, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think it's any other English-speaking news company that operates the way they do. And they're based in Japan. It's just that they just translate it into English. But with that being said, let's get into this news. So this actually is making headways. It is about Japanese economy and it's crumbling. Basically, it is crumbling. And one of it has to do with the fact of the value of the yen is lower than expected. What do you mean about lower than expected? Well, I'm glad you may ask. A couple years ago, I don't know what really happened. I can't act like on this TikTok that I'm really well known about what happened in their government to do this. But whatever happened, whatever business they did, it devalued the yen, which means the yen means nothing in world economy and world trade. It's a shitty, basically, currency. In the most nicest way, it's basically a shitty currency. Now, fast forward to today, everything is now super, uber expensive. Now, right now you see it, they're talking about food prices. That title's actually deceiving because I'm going to actually give you a quick summary about everything they actually talked about in this video. It wasn't just food prices, even though that was the main topic. Now, this lady that you're seeing in the screenshot, she was talking about how it's just been really hard because now vegetables starting to get higher and everything's just really high, and it seems like we cannot do anything to stop it. Now, the running joke of Japan is that fruit was already damn expensive. Everyone who knows Japan, if you know about Japan, you know, to own fruit in Japan is literally a luxury. Cantaloupes, I believe, is like $50. Like, it is super uber expensive. I watched a video of a Japanese YouTuber named Aki Dearest. I mean, she's not Japanese, but she's based in Japan and she makes Japanese content, obviously in English. And she had a video a couple months ago where she was like making a fruit salad, I guess. I don't even remember. And literally apples was like $10. And that was just a few months ago. So yeah, buying fruit is literally a luxury in fucking Japan. So on top of fruit always being so damn expensive anyway, like I've been knowing about Japanese fruit prices since I was like in middle school. Like, so it's been a thing for a very long time, for over a fucking decade. Now, vegetables is expensive. Rice has jumped up 70.9%. Like, it is getting ridiculously out of hand for all food prices in Japan. And now I'm seeing it and I understand why they have a distaste for tourism right now. I really see it from this video. They also interview a Japanese elderly man who basically explained that housing is so damn expensive. His son and his wife basically bought a home. They both work and they still can't afford the mortgage, which means he has to help. He explained, he said, I have to help them pay the mortgage because they can't afford it anymore. And then another young male was talking about how he hasn't seen an increase in his paycheck for a while, in so many words, and that everything's getting pricey and just getting really hard. Which goes to my point when it comes to promotions and rising in companies in Japan. This is not a running joke, but it's been a running theme in Japan where Japan really doesn't pay people their correct wages that should be getting paid. I gotta go to ALTs because I'm more familiar with how it works in ALT. If people don't know, ALT is assistant language teacher. Is a very extremely popular job for foreigners that live in Japan. It is very rare to find a foreigner that lives in Japan that is not an ALT. Like, it's very rare. Most of them are ALTs. But ALTs do not get promotions. Not like that. The only ones that probably are kind of not favoritism, but the ones that may see a increase, maybe if they've been in the company for like 5 years, they may get a little $200 increase, are usually ones that have like basically an actual like teaching degree. They may actually get a little bit of bonuses throughout the years. However, mass majority of people do not have teaching degrees as ALTs. They just have a regular bachelor's degrees. And those people, which is thousands that work in Japan, do not see an increase at all. They literally make the same they've made 10 years ago. Like, no lie, it's a guy who's like 43 that was ALT for 25 years before he like just quit and just became a full-time content creator. And he literally said for the 25 years, he did not see a single increase in his pay. So it is a thing that like Japan does not give a lot of promotions and they pay very little. So when that guy said what he said, and he was a young like Japanese man, or he looked it young, I believe wholeheartedly what he meant, because I knew this just for one sector, which is AOT, that they don't hardly get promotions. So whatever sector he's in, I do believe that he hasn't seen a promotion in a very long time, because it's very, very extremely rare to find someone that gets promotions in Japan, and it's very rare to see someone that literally elevates really, really fast. Most people who's at the top probably was working for the company for like 30 plus years. You know what I mean? Like, they basically was working for a very long time before they even seen an increase in a lot of things. But I'm saying all this to say, it is very shocking to me that like no one's talking about this, yet Japan is considered still the #1 place to tour, and people still are making videos in Japan saying how beautiful Japan is, walking around acting like romanticizing Japan without acknowledging the fact that normal hardworking people that are native to the country are struggling to survive. They're barely making it, and it's very sad to watch, and it's sad to see how the government is actually just ignoring their own citizens. Like, how I do love the fact that, you know, the government is trying their way to like, you know, appeal to tourists, which I understand. I mean, hello, I do want to eventually go to Japan, possibly stay there for a couple months. Like, I'm not lying. I do see myself doing that eventually in my life in Japan. However, I think it's fucked up that like they are actually truly valuing a tourist dollar. Like, they're valuing a tourist life, in my opinion, more than their own people's lives, because they're doing so much for tourism. Like, so much is happening for just people that's not even going to be there for a very long time, and they're literally been ignoring the cause of actual Japanese residents for a very long time. This is something the Japanese residents has been screaming over 5+ years, and now it's just hitting a wall, and it's just like, it feels like it's an impossible feat now, because the government literally has been ignoring them for years. And for that, I really understand why the citizens of Japan and the residents of Japan really, really have a distaste for tourists. Because honestly, I understand where they're coming from. You're over here in my country, literally having it like an amusement park, and I barely can fucking afford a fucking ramen some days. Like, my country has been ignoring our cause for 5+ years to fix this shit. Yet every time we turn around, they're building these multi-million-dollar buildings, all this type of stuff for tourists, for people that's not even going to be here for very long, people that's not even going to end up living here their entire life. They're making rooms, they're building businesses, doing all this stuff that doesn't really going to affect me at all. And that's a problem people don't understand. Literally, unless a person owns a business in Tokyo, and by the way, if anyone owns a business in Tokyo, they're not even feeling the pressure, obviously, what's going on, because they have money like that, you know what I mean? So these people that they're talking to are probably regular old residents that have regular ass jobs. And they will not actually feel the increase in the bonus and economy boost that we see on paper that tourists are bringing to Japan. They don't feel it. It's just hurting. It's been hurting for a very long time. But yeah, it's just very sad to see. But yeah, this is
the stock market is about to have one of the largest crashes in U.S. history. We just got some new data that shows there is nothing that can turn this around. It's going to happen in the next 10 to 12 months. Let me show you why. Now, this chart right here shows overvaluation across the board. It's got a lot of different things it takes into account here, but the biggest part, this has only happened 3 times in U.S. history, and we just hit an all-time high right now, breaking back what happened in 1929, 1966, and 1999 in the dot-com bubble. Now, people like to hate on Warren Buffett like he's not insanely successful. I have his value versus historical trend right here. We previously set the record back in the dot-com bubble, and then we set it again during COVID. But right now, we are at a new all-time high again on this, beating out the 70s, the dot-com bubble, and 2020. Now, if you talk to any insanely wealthy person, they typically are not sitting on a lot of cash. Their cash is typically in assets, stocks, different things like that. Well, right now, Warren Buffett is sitting on the most cash he ever has been in history. And if we look back at it, in Q4 2024, their cash balance rose by $145.2 billion. People are preparing for a crash. There is multiple metrics that are showing it. It happens quite a bit in the markets every few years, but this one is set to be a monster.
How do you feel about Elon Musk having all this power and control over our money, our assets? He is able to take away Medicare funding, all state, local funding. He's not a part of this country. No one voted him in. How do you guys feel about that? How do you feel about only a top few people that's going to benefit for this stimulus package, if they have it, if they send it out, and the lower half that's struggling, they get nothing? How do you feel about that? Guys, if you can help me get to 100 subscribers, I really appreciate it. I'm your girl, Keisha Reacts. I thank you for tuning in, and I will see you shortly.